samurai sword, the meant to blade, cut through flesh and bone. Don't my mind at peace.
Hey yo, so what's going on YouTube? Snafu here, back with a brand new video. So this trend that's been going around TikTok right now, where you pretty much show what year you were born and you show your top 10 games of all time. So it would say something like top 10 games from someone born in 1993, which is myself because I was born in 93. And I was just like, yo, like I'm 32 now, like where did the time go, man? But so yeah, I posted my video and it ended up doing really well. And a lot of people have been fucking with my list. So that's what inspired me to make this video, because I just want to talk more in depth and give a backstory to why these games are my favorite of all time. And without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so starting off on my list at number 10, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And the reason this is on my top 10, it's because this was my first time playing online. Because before, in the PS2 era, I didn't know how to get online. None of my friends, like everybody around me that I grew up playing like PS2 with, didn't play online, didn't know anything really about it. So I just didn't experience online gaming until the 360 era with Modern Warfare 2. So yeah, playing Modern Warfare 2 online, man, I just have a lot of great memories with this game. Like, trash talking on the mic in the lobbies with your friends and all that. That was so much fun, just going back and forth with the other team. Like, that was some great times right there. And also, I just remember, meeting a bunch of people at the time that I used to play with a lot. I still think about them to this day. I'm like, I'm just hoping everybody's doing well. And at the time, we were using MySpace, so I remember adding everybody that I used to play with. And so that's how we created a bond, just like playing every day, talking every day. And it was just a lot of fun. I even remember this one guy, his name was like XX, Nightmare Killer XX. You know how people used to have X's in their name a lot? And just his name, Nightmare Killer, just sounds like something from the Xbox 360 era, And then when it came to summer vacation time, yo, I just let loose. That's all I used to fucking do, is play Modern Warfare 2 from the morning till night with these group of friends, just playing every single day. And also at the time, I had this one girlfriend. Like, I remember when she would come looking for me, I would just walk out to the front door with my fucking headset and my 360 controller in my hand and just being like, what? Like, I'm in a match. Like, hold on, I'll be back real quick. And I would just go back and like, yeah. So, I was addicted to that shit. It was just so much fun, man. So many great memories. If you have any memories from Modern Warfare 2, leave them in the comments, because it was just a lot of great times. And now moving on to my number 9, we have Halo 2. So when it comes to Halo, I will say I was never like a big fan of the campaign. Like, yeah, I would play with my friends. Like, we would play co-op and we would try to beat it on the hardest difficulty, but I was more of a multiplayer head. Even when Halo 3 came around, I don't think I even touched the story. I just mostly played online because that's just all I did, But the reason Halo 2 is on my top 10, it's because of the LAN parties. Back in the day, going to somebody's house, setting up a bunch of TVs and having a bunch of people and like, playing together. That was just a lot of fun. And I just remember the parents being like, yo, like, what are you guys doing? Like, they just didn't understand it, And there's this one story in specific about these two friends that I still talk to this day. Shout out to my homie Daniel and Christian. One time we were at Daniel's house and we were doing a LAN party there. And I remember it was late at night. I don't know what time it was, but Daniel and Christian had bikes and they ended up leaving it in the front yard. I don't know why, like, even to this day, they're like, I don't know why we did that. But, that was a big mistake. And you guys probably know where I'm going with this. So, yeah, they left their bikes out. We were all, inside having a good time playing, playing some Halo 2. And then we ended up going out to the front for a little bit and we noticed their bikes were gone. And down the street, we just see two dudes taking off with the bikes and we're like, what the fuck? And I just remember Christian and Daniel just taking off, trying to chase them down and shit. I don't remember if a lot of us try to chase them down too, or we just stayed back, but I remember they came back and they were like, yo, they're gone. And we were just like, oh, like, what the fuck? Like, I think they even tried to drive around to see if they could find them, but they were long gone at that point. So yeah, it's just a funny story that we still talk about to this day when, we bring up the Halo 2 LAN party days and they bring up that story in specific. So yeah, man, a lot of great memories with Halo 2 as well. And like, man, I just wish I could go back all the time. So yeah, that's why Halo 2 is at my number 9. Ooh, okay, so I'm excited to talk about this one. So at number 8, I have Max Payne. Max Payne, to me, man, it's such a great series. But number 1 is my favorite in specific because of the narrative. I just love the dialogue in number 1. I feel like in number 2 and 3, the dialogue kind of fell off for me a little bit, but the dialogue on part 1 was top tier. Like, I don't know, I just love the narrative in that one. Like, I remember the intro, like, it was just so gruesome. You know how they kill his like baby, his wife. Like, I probably should have been playing this game so young, but man, I just remember playing it a lot. The bullet time mechanic was so sick, you know, slowing down time, shooting dudes a bunch of times. Even after you like kill them, there would be like a little like slow motion scene after that, and you would just see the bullets like riddle their body and just penetrating. Like that shit looks so sick to me. Also like the style they went with when it comes to like the character models, they look like realistic in a way, and I just love the facial expressions. Like I don't know what this style is called, but I just love how they did that as well. And also the other levels that really stuck out to me was the dream sequences, you know, when you're following the blood trail. I remember that was like really haunting and like terrifying, just hearing the screams, trying to find your way through like the pitch blackness, and just, you know, because if you didn't stay on the trail, you could fall off and you would have to jump. So like it was also kind of frustrating, because I remember this was like the most frustrating levels for me, because when I would get to them, I would just be like, oh man, I gotta do this and like try to figure out where to go, because if you fell, you would have to start all over. So that was just kind of annoying, but those levels also stuck out to me just because of how haunting they were. And like overall, I think the game was pretty haunting because it was just so gritty, you know, back in like in New York, like the fucking like the story, the themes, it was just, yeah, it just really stuck out to me, and that's why I just prefer number 1 over 2 and 3, and that's why it's in my top 10, and I want to show it a lot of love. And like when I posted my list, a lot of people were like, finally somebody mentioning Max Payne, because it was just that good. And I'm really excited for the remakes. I know they said they're trying to aim for 2027, so it is a little ways, but I'm really excited to see how they'll handle that. Hopefully they still have the same vibe and like atmosphere and like the grittiness. So hopefully they don't like get rid of that. But yeah, that's why you see that. As you guys can see, I just love Max Payne 1, and that's why it's in my top 10. All right, so moving on with the list. At number 7, we have Kingdom Hearts 2. So a funny backstory about Kingdom Hearts 2. I don't remember if it was number 1 or 2, but I remember seeing it at Circuit City. If you guys remember Circuit City, is no longer with us, but I remember seeing like the cover, and I remember seeing the back, and I remember seeing Disney and like Mickey Mouse, Donald, and Goofy, and I was like, what is this shit? This shit looks whack. I remember hating on Kingdom Hearts. I'm like, this shit looks lame as fuck. So off that initial reaction, I just didn't end up playing it. Like I just didn't think twice about it until later on when one of my cousins ended up playing it. And the number 1 game on my list that I'm going to get into later, I ended up playing that game first, but there's some characters from that game in Kingdom Hearts. And I remember my cousin was like, hey, if you like, you know, this series, you're going to like this game as well, so you should try it. And I was like, are you sure? Like, you know, so he convinced me to pretty much play Kingdom Hearts. And when I finally, you know, played Kingdom Hearts, I was like, yo, I've been missing out this whole time. I remember the intro, you know, my sanctuary, you know, like, you know, simple and clean and all that too as well. I just, oh my God, bro. I was missing out. And I think that cousin let me borrow number 1 and 2, because I think he had both. So shout outs to Matthew. He let me borrow those. And I remember, you know, just playing through part 1, and then, you know, after that, I just immediately started playing part 2. And then, you know, just waiting in anticipation for something about a part 3 ever coming out, and then eventually getting it. And I will say part 3, I didn't really like it that much as the other 2, but, you know, hopefully part 4 is a step up from part 3. But regardless, you know, the first 2 will always be goated to me, especially in number 2. Like, I just love like the intro to that game, like the story, you know, when they introduced Roxas. Like, I don't know why the intro for that game, you know, when you're like in you know, with Roxas and his gang of friends, and like, I don't know, just those parts I just really like love a lot. I don't know what it is, but I always just think about those times in specific and like the gameplay, and I just think that's why Kingdom Hearts 2 is just like my favorite in the series. And the music, especially, like, you know, Dearly Beloved, like, oh my God, that intro, like the piano when you like boot up the game, I'm like, oh my God, like it's just so good. And like till this day, you know, I have that music on my Spotify, so whenever the songs come up, I'm just like, like Kingdom Hearts, and it just, you know, brings back a whole series of emotions. And like, yeah, that's why Kingdom Hearts is like a fantastic series, and that's why Kingdom Hearts 2 is at my number 7. So yeah. All right, so moving on to my number 6. This series is really special to me. Like, it was just a big part of my childhood, because I just remember playing all the games in this series like over and over again. And that is Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. The Ratchet and Clank series is fucking great. I just remember because my brother, he ended up buying me the first one for my birthday. I will always remember that. And I remember he also gave me this like special booklet. I don't know if it came with it or he bought it separately with it, but yeah, he had this booklet that came with it. It was like this kind of long, and it kind of went more in depth. They would explain the guns and just the game and all that. And I just remember like I immediately fell with the game. Like, it just had a lot of charm, like the humor. It had adult jokes, like the quirky characters, the little secrets that it had. And it was just really great. It just had so many little things that I just really loved about it. And I just remember Going Commando was my favorite just because, you know, they built upon the first one, the gameplay. I remember the Rhino, getting the Rhino, like once you leveled that up, it was like that's all you needed to use to get through the game. And I just remember beating part 2 like in specific, like over and over again. Like I kind of want to boot up my save file sometimes to see how many times I beat it, because it had to be like more than 50 times if I remember it correctly, because I just remember beating that game over and over. And then, you know, when part 3 came out, I remember playing that one a lot. I think that one I played a lot more like multiplayer with my cousins because we had the multi-tap, so we were able to play like up to 4 players. And I think with Deadlocked as well. Deadlocked is my least favorite in the series, but I did play that one a lot still with my cousins, and it was just kind of interesting how they did the whole arena thing. But yeah, I think to me part 2 is just the best one in my opinion. So that's why Ratchet and Clank Going Commando is at my number 6 on my top 10. Now moving on to my number 5, this series was another one like Ratchet and Clank that just had me in a chokehold in my childhood. It was like, it just had to go hand in hand, you know, because these two series were just so special to me. I just played them around the same time, but I think I just preferred this series a little more over Ratchet and Clank, and that is the Jak and Daxter series, specifically Jak 2. I did love the first one a lot as well. I was kind of going back and forth between the first one and the second one, just because the first one, like the introduction to the Jak and Daxter world and everything was just so great. And I just remember this specific moment. My dad, he was watching me play, and we were looking at the water, and we were just like, whoa, like the water looks so real, you know. It's just funny to look back at that now, you know. And I just remember playing this game a lot, like beating it over and over again as well, 100%ing it, collecting all the power cells. But the reason number 2 is just so sick is because the change of direction that they went to, they went with a dark, like a more dark and gritty, like storytelling. You know, Jak was able to talk because, you know, in the first one he was mute. So I thought that was pretty cool. It just adds more to it. You know, it was like GTA style. You had guns, you were able to steal cars. You know, it was just really sick how they did part 2, like the new characters, the bosses, like, yeah, they just really upped the game in part 2, and that's why I think that one's just my favorite out of the 3, because like just the jump from number 1 to 2, I think it's the same thing with Ratchet. The jump from number 1 to 2 was just so great, and it's just like, so yeah, these two series, Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter, just kind of go hand in hand, but I think I just prefer the Jak and Daxter series a little more. But yeah, that's why Jak 2 is at my number 5. Okay, so for my number 4, we have Jet Set Radio Future. My introduction to Jet Set Radio Future is when we got the Xbox. I don't know if the Xbox itself had game trailers already or if it was on a certain game, but I remember seeing the trailer for Jet Set Radio Future, and I remember just being mind blown, and like it caught my attention right away because of the cel shaded graphics. There was skating, there was graffiti, and I just couldn't believe there was a game like this, because growing up, I myself was doing graffiti. Like graffiti was a big part of like me growing up, and like I still do it from time to time, but not as much anymore. So like, yeah, immediately like I was like, oh, I have to play this game. And then eventually when I finally got to play it, I immediately fell in love with the game. Like I just knew that was gonna happen, from like the music, the story, you know, because the story was about going up against the government, the system, and that, you know, that's what graffiti is all about, right? So I just love that type of shit, you know? And, you know, skating around, doing tricks while at the same time busting up a piece, like that shit looks so sick to me. What I also really liked, you were able to make your own custom graffiti. Even though it was kind of hard doing graffiti with the sticks, it was really cool that they had that feature, and I spent a lot of time like doing all types of sizes and pieces in that game. And the soundtrack was also just a big part of the game and why I loved it. You know, the intro song, you know, the concept of love, you know? My all-time favorite track from the game was IO10 by Scapegoat Wax. To this day, I still bump that song. And funny enough, I actually got in contact with the guy that made the song. Like I talked to him like here and there, and yeah, he just knows like a lot of people are like a big fan of that song because of the game. And so yeah, that game just introduced me to a lot of great artists. So yeah, playing through Jet Set Radio Future was just so special. It was so unique, and there was like nothing else like it. And if you guys haven't, you guys should play Bomber Cyberfunk. It's pretty much like a predecessor to Jet Set Radio Future. So if you're missing that Jet Set Radio vibe, you should definitely check out that game, because that game was pretty dope as well. And they're also remaking the Jet Set Radio games. I will say I'm not a fan of the graphic style that they're going for, but I'm going to hold judgment until it comes out. But yeah, that's why Jet Set Radio Future is on my number 4. Okay, so now we're getting to my top 3. And so for this next game, I feel like this next game, it's pretty slept on. I feel like I do see more people talk about it now, but growing up, I never knew nobody who played it, nobody who knew about it. I feel like I was like the only one that played it, you know? So for my number 3, it's gonna have to be Dark Cloud. This is another one of those games that I want to go in depth and make a whole separate video for, because I just love the game that much. And up until then, I don't think I ever played anything like it at the time. What I really loved about Dark Cloud was the way you could level up your weapons. So let me see if I can explain this. So The way it worked, once your weapon would reach max level, you can do this thing called status break, where it would turn it into a sphere, and you could put it onto another weapon, and you would gain the attributes from that sword and put it onto the new one. And what was also cool, there was like 2 routes that because you can evolve your weapon, and there was like 2 different builds that you can do. It would show up in a question mark, so you wouldn't know what sword it would turn into, but you could see like what you needed to level it up, either like what elementals you needed to put into it, or like what certain I don't know what it was called, but you can do this thing where like it'll do more damage to certain like enemies, like either like water types or beast types. So you could put like little things like that to level that up. So whenever you would reach what it would like required, you could like evolve it into the next weapon, like so it would just keep going like that. Also, the other really fun thing about this game, you were able to build towns, because the way the game starts, this is Dark Genie who like destroys everything pretty much. He destroys the world, but the Fairy King, he saves you, and he gives you this glove that gives you the power to collect Atla. It's what it's called. It's when you go into the dungeons, and when you go through the levels, you find these big orbs, and you touch it with that glove, and like they open up, and they reveal to have like a person or like something, one of their belongings, their like house or whatever. Because when the genie destroyed the world, the Fairy King pretty much saved everybody into the spheres, and that's how you gather them up. And so you would travel to different areas, just rebuilding the towns and all that, and you can do it however you want. Like certain characters had specific things of how they would, like where they want their house at, next to like a river, or like, you know, little things like that. So I just really enjoyed that aspect of it. I also really enjoyed the story and the characters you would meet and their backstories. When you would go into the dungeons, you could pretty much swap to any party member that you had. I think you had up to like 6, if I believe, and you could switch like whenever you wanted, basically. So I really like that. So yeah, overall this game was just so great. Like that's why it's in my top 3. I think it's just so slept on. It's so good. I was actually playing it a few months back, and yeah, just the nostalgia. Like my girl was watching me play, and she was like, "Oh wow, like this game looks really nice. Like I like watching you play it." So yeah, if you guys haven't checked out Dark Cloud, please do. It's a fucking great game. One day I'm gonna make a video on it and go more in depth. But yeah, Dark Cloud is my number 3. Now moving on to my number 2. This game is a lot of fucking fun. Like till this day, I still play this game on and off, like through emulators and all that. And I want to do another playthrough soon, because I just love this game so much, and going through the story, you know, creating your character, picking different fighting styles. Like it's just so sick. And the game that I'm talking about is Def Jam Fight for New York. Man, Fight for New York is like no other fighting game that I've ever played. It's so like brutal. The special moves are outlandish and so sick. I like when you would put like your enemy up against the wall, and you can like smash their head up against the wall, kick them, throw them into cars. You can use the fucking audience to help you out. They will hold you, the person you were fighting, so you can like beat them up, do like special grapple attacks. They would give you weapons. I know I'm gonna sound old saying this, but Def Jam Fight for New York is off the fucking chain. It's so good. I remember playing with my cousins. Like I said, we had the multi-tap, so we would play like up to 4 people, and we would see who had the most health, so we would all jump that person. Like I hated that shit, but it was just so much fun. I remember playing that train level where you can throw people into the train. That shit was fun. The soundtrack was really great as well, like all the hip hop that it had, you know, the artists in the game as well, like, you know, Method Man, Redman, Ghostface, Snoop Dogg. He was like he was the main antagonist. You know, not Joe Budden, fucking Fat Joe, he was annoying as fuck to fight. He was like one of the hardest fights, I remember. So like, yeah, just playing through the story was sick, making your own character, picking up to 3 fighting styles, you know, because over time you could pick up to 3. And my favorite were like street fighting, martial arts, and kickboxing. That combo was deadly because they would make your character super quick. It had a heavy, quick punch. Like, yeah, that fighting style was just like S tier to me. And it had so many special moves that you could choose from, and you could pick up to 4 at a time. And you had this meter called like a blazing meter, and once you fill it up, your character would go into this mode where, you know, he would just kind of scream like, you know, and then you would grab an enemy, and then depending on which direction you go, you would go with the right stick, either up, left, right, or down. You would do like a different special move. So that was pretty sick. All that combined, it just made for a great and dope fighting game. Like I've never played a fighting game like this, and it's like one of the best fighting games in my opinion. It's just so crazy, so fun, so outlandish. It's just, yeah, so sick. So that's why Def Jam Fight for New York is my number 2. And finally, getting to my number 1. This game is my favorite of all time. It still is my favorite game of all time, and will always be, I think. And this is the game that I was mentioning when I was talking about Kingdom Hearts, because I played this game first before I played Kingdom Hearts. So for my number 1, my favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X changed my fucking life. Like, I still remember the day that I beat it. I was just like, I was left with a void for a long, long time. I almost cried. Like, oh my God, it's so good. The story, I think I've played other Final Fantasies, and I still think Final Fantasy X is like the best one. Maybe I'm just biased because it's the first one I played, but none of the other ones compared to it. Like Final Fantasy X is just my favorite one of all time. So my first time experiencing Final Fantasy X was through the demo, because I had a demo disc that I had a bunch of PS2 games and Final Fantasy X was on there. And I remember just playing it a lot. And I remember like the introduction, like when Auron comes out, you know, with like this rock music playing and with like there's a bunch of shit going down. When Sin is like arriving and he's destroying everything, like I was like, yo, like this looks fucking tight, you know, like it just made me want to play it. And eventually I ended up playing it like way later on because of my cousin, because he let me borrow it. So shout out to my cousin Luis. He'd be in the comments sometimes. So if you're watching this, you know, thank you for letting me borrow it. So yeah, I ended up taking it home and playing it. And yeah, I fell in love with the game. The only funny thing is I ended up getting stuck at a certain part. At this point, I haven't really played a lot of RPGs. The only like turn-based RPG I really ever played was, I guess, like Pokemon, you know? So my knowledge on RPGs wasn't that vast how it is now, you know? So I ended up getting stuck in the part when you like meet Riku, and like a little bit after that, you fall into the water and you fight this like this machine. It's you, Waka, and the party, and I don't know who else. And I remember getting stuck in that part and I just couldn't beat it. And the reason was because I wasn't using the spear grid. I wasn't really like leveling it up because I didn't really know when it comes to RPGs that you had to like grind. And then specifically for Final Fantasy X, you had to use the spear grid to like get more health and to get more like, you know, attack power and just different things, because it would give you different attributes and stuff. I don't know if I just missed it or I just didn't understand it at the time, but yeah, so I ended up getting stuck in that part and I just didn't know why. So I would try to beat it and I just couldn't fucking beat it. So I ended up giving up on Final Fantasy X eventually. And then that cousin Matthew that let me borrow Kingdom Hearts, he ended up taking the game and he ended up beating it. So when he gave it back to me, I was like, yo, how the fuck did you beat it? Like, I'm struggling on this boss. So I showed him and, you know, he was trying to help me out. And then he was like, wait. He just looked at me and he was like, how come you haven't been using your spear grid? I was like, wait, what do you mean? So he showed me how they worked. And he's like, I legit had like zero. I had like a bunch of like, you know, skill points to use. And he was just like doing it for me. He was like, yo, like, this is why you're struggling. So after he did that, he beat the boss easily. And I was like, oh, okay. So now I kind of understood how to play the game, you know? So what I ended up doing after that, I just started over because I just was like, okay, now I know how to play the game. Like, let me just start all over. And then this is where my grinding obsession began. Because if you guys know me now and you guys watch me when I play RPGs and shit, I can grind one area for like 2 hours straight and just fucking get OP as I can and then move on to the next area. Or like I'll do a bunch of side missions first, grind like a lot, and then do like a main mission, you know? That's just how I play RPGs now and how I play games in general. I'm just all about the fucking grind, you know? The music is so incredible. The story, oh my god, everything about Final Fantasy X is just so amazing to me. That's why it's my favorite game of all time. Like, it just changed my life. It got me into RPGs. That's why I love turn-based. Sometimes I've thought about like, what if they remade it or something, but I don't know if I would want them to, or if they did, I would want them to leave it turn-based, because I don't know, I'm just a big fan of turn-based, and I feel like that game should just stay turn-based. But who knows, if they ever do remake it, maybe at some point, maybe they'll make it like Final Fantasy VII. Who knows? But yeah, oh yeah, also shout outs to Blitzball. I fucking remember trying to get good at Blitzball because that shit was low-key kind of hard, but I think I did get somewhat decent, but even then it was still pretty hard. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much my top 10 games of all time. Hopefully I didn't forget to leave anything out, which I probably did because like I was just going off the top. So hopefully I didn't forget to mention something, but hopefully you guys enjoyed me telling the backstories to these games, because it was just fun, like reliving the memories and telling you guys about them. And also in the comments, please let me know what you guys' top 10s are, like your backstories with the games. Like, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. And if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new here, subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, take it easy. Peace.
Are you one of those so-called badasses?